If you have been to an AC/DC concert in the last 4 decades, you might have noticed something missing. The one song that launched them to stardom, the song most closely associated with the band, the track that defined their entire sound, they refused to play it. For 40 years, Long Way to the Top has been absent from their set list. The reason? Respect for Bon Scott. But the full story is far more complicated than that. 1975. AC/DC was recording their second album, TNT, and they were still figuring out who they were as a band. They had just solidified their lineup with Bon Scott on vocals, the Young Brothers on guitars, and a rhythm section that could level buildings. The album showed a tighter, more focused sound than their scattered debut. They were honing what would become the classic AC/DC formula: steady pounding rhythms, hard-edged twin guitar attack, in-your-face vocals. Long Way to the Top opened the album, and it was different from anything they had done before. The lyrics were not about partying or rebellion, they were about the reality of being in a working band, getting old, getting gray, getting ripped off, underpaid, getting sold secondhand. This was Bon Scott telling the truth about the music industry, poking fun at the fantasy of rock stardom while somehow making it feel even more legendary. The main riff came from live jamming sessions. Back then, AC/DC did not have enough material for a full set, so they would stretch out covers like Jumping Jack Flash with 15 minutes of improvisation. Both Livewire and Long Way to the Top emerged from those jams. They would often show up to the studio with just a riff and nothing else, building songs on the spot. Long Way to the Top came together almost immediately, according to Malcolm Young. Then came the strangest decision in AC/DC history. George Young, older brother of Malcolm and Angus and producer of the record, discovered that Bon Scott had been in a pipe band as a kid. George asked if Bon would lay down some bagpipes for the opening track. Bon said sure, went to the nearest music shop, and spent $500 of band money on bagpipes. What George did not know was that Bon had been the drummer in that pipe band. He had no idea how to play bagpipes, but Bon Scott learned them specifically for this song. That determination, that versatility, that refusal to say he could not do something, resulted in one of the most distinctive textural choices in rock history. The drone from those pipes works perfectly, adding a layer of Celtic aggression that no other rock song had. It inspired John Farnham to use pipes in You're the Voice in '86, and The Church to create a similar sound with guitar and synthesizer in Under the Milky Way 2 years later. What other band do you think could have pulled off something this crazy and actually made it work?
One night stand, we'll try playing in a rock roll band. It's a
When Long Way to the Top was released in '75, it lifted AC/DC from an obscure Australian rock band to global icons. The song became an instant classic in Australia, reaching number 5 on the charts. It was the track that really kicked everything off, the one that proved AC/DC had something special. Later hits would bolster that reputation, but this was the foundation. The song resonated because it was honest. Every musician dreaming of a rock and roll career could relate to working their asses off, driving to unpaid gigs, doing anything just to get a taste of that world. Bon Scott was not selling a fantasy. He was describing the reality, and somehow that made the dream feel more real, more attainable, more worth chasing. The bagpipes became iconic immediately. People had never heard anything like it in a rock song. It was aggressive and melodic at the same time, anchoring the track with a sound that was impossible to ignore. The song proved that AC/DC was willing to take risks, to try things that should not work, and make them essential. By the time they started touring internationally, Long Way to the Top was the song everyone wanted to hear. It was their signature, their statement of purpose, their proof that they had earned their place through hard work rather than luck. The track was not just a hit, it was an anthem for anyone who had ever struggled to make it in music. The music video for Long Way to the Top became just as iconic as the song itself. AC/DC performed the track on the back of a flatbed truck driving through the streets of Melbourne in '76, creating one of the most memorable visuals in rock history. Bon Scott played those $500 bagpipes while the truck rolled past shocked pedestrians and traffic. It was guerrilla filmmaking before that was even a term, raw and spontaneous, with real people stopping to watch this loud, chaotic spectacle rolling through their city. The video captured everything the song was about: working class grit, determination, and the willingness to do whatever it takes to be heard. No fancy sets, no choreography, just a band on a truck making noise and demanding attention. That image of Bon in his school uniform playing bagpipes on a moving vehicle became as defining for AC/DC as any album cover or concert poster. While the song was conquering charts and becoming an anthem, AC/DC was discovering that their greatest studio achievement was their biggest live headache. The bagpipes that made the song iconic also made it nearly impossible to perform consistently. Mark Evans, the band's bassist at the time, later described the logistical nightmare of trying to reproduce the song on stage. They tried using a cassette tape of the bagpipe part, which meant the entire band had to tune their instruments to match a pre-recorded track. This was in the mid-70s, long before modern in-ear monitors and synchronized backing tracks became standard. The band would go backstage between songs, tune to the cassette, then come back out hoping everything would stay in sync. The timing had to be perfect, and on a sweaty stage with fluctuating temperatures affecting tuning, perfection was hard to maintain. According to some accounts, they only performed the song live around 30 times despite it being their most recognizable tune, especially in Australia. That is a shockingly low number for what was essentially their breakthrough hit. Every show where they attempted it was a gamble. Would the tape work? Would the tuning hold? Would the timing align? The various stories about what ultimately ended the live performances paint a picture of increasing frustration. One account claims that Evans, fed up with the technical difficulties, destroyed the cassette tape one evening without realizing it was the master copy with no backup. Another version suggests they experimented with having Bond play the pipes live with a fitted microphone, but the physical demands made it unsustainable. Still, another story involves fans stealing the bagpipes from the side of the stage during a performance and destroying them in the crowd. What all these stories share is a sense of the song being cursed for live performance. The very element that made it special in the studio, the bagpipes, became an anchor dragging down their ability to deliver it consistently on stage. For a band that prided itself on raw, no-frills rock and roll, having to rely on tapes and careful timing went against everything they stood for. AC/DC wanted to plug in and blast, not fiddle with cassette players and hope for the best. If you were in their place, would you have kept performing the song no matter what, or dropped it like they did? Then came 1980. Bon Scott died suddenly at 33 from acute alcohol poisoning, and everything changed. Brian Johnson replaced him, and their first album together, Back in Black, became one of the best-selling albums of all time with over 50 million copies sold. AC/DC was here to stay, but they were a different band now. According to Brian Johnson, he refuses to play Long Way to the Top out of respect for Bon Scott. That is the most widely accepted reason the song has been absent from set lists for over 40 years. It was Bon's song, Bon's voice, Bon's bagpipes. Playing it without him felt wrong, like replacing something irreplaceable. But there were other factors at play. Long Way to the Top is one of the few AC/DC tracks where Angus Young steps back. Bon's vocals take center stage, Malcolm's rhythm guitar drives the song, and the bagpipes provide the hook. There is no Wild Angus solo, no iconic in-your-face lead guitar riffs. Long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. For a band that had built its live reputation on Angus's electrifying solos and stage antics, this song put him in a supporting role. Maybe Brian Johnson did not feel up to replicating Bon's voice on a track so closely associated with him. The song requires a specific vocal character, that working-class grit mixed with world-weary wisdom that Bon delivered naturally. Brian brought his own powerful style to AC/DC, but it was different. Trying to inhabit Bon's delivery on his signature song might have felt like cosplay rather than performance. Here is what makes the story fascinating. In the last 40 years, technology has advanced to the point where playing bagpipes live would be effortless. They could use samples, backing tracks, digital processing. It would be incredibly easy to hire a session musician to play the pipes during that song. They have all the resources in the world to make it work, but they choose not to. That choice, that deliberate absence, says more than any tribute concert or memorial ever could. AC/DC is not a band known for sentimentality. They are not the type to get emotional on stage or make grand gestures. But by refusing to play the song that launched their career, they are making a statement. Some things belong to one person, and Bon Scott owns Long Way to the Top. Long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. Brian Johnson has never tried to be Bon Scott. He brought his own voice, his own energy, his own identity to AC/DC. Playing Bon's signature song would have undermined that, would have forced comparisons that serve nobody. By leaving it out, Brian honors both Bon's legacy and his own role in the band. The irony is that the absence makes the song more powerful. Because AC/DC refuses to play it, Long Way to the Top remains frozen in time as purely Bon's. Every recording, every live performance, every memory of that song is connected to him. If they had kept playing it with Brian, it would have evolved, changed, become something else. By retiring it, they preserved it. Would Bon Scott have wanted them to keep the song alive or to let it rest as his legacy? For 40 years, AC/DC has played thousands of shows and performed hundreds of songs, but never the one that started it all. Long Way to the Top sits in their catalog as a monument to Bon Scott, untouched and unrepeatable. It is respect in the form of silence, tribute through absence. The band that built a career on being the loudest, most relentless force in rock decided that some songs are too important to revisit. And maybe that is exactly what Bon Scott would have wanted, to be remembered not through imitation, but through the space he left behind that nobody else could fill. So here is the question. Is it better to keep playing a song and risk changing its meaning, or to retire it and let it remain exactly what it was meant to be?